Welcome to Live, Let, Thrive, a podcast about the Airbnb life, the share economy, and everything in between. Here are your hosts, Myka and Steve.
Hello.
And welcome back to another exciting episode
of Live,
Let
Thrive. What's up, Myka, man?
I'm chilling, Stevie Stacks. How you doing, man? Been a minute.
It has been a minute, man. How you been doing? You've been through it.
Yeah, man, been through it, man, but we're pulling through. 2023 ain't been kind to us, but we finding a way, to pull through it and live in the game, man. Got to live in the game. So yeah, man, how's things on your end?
Oh, busy. I think I mentioned on another show, on another episode, that Federico's transitioning away from Argus Rentals. My management company. Before we get into that, let's set up who the hell are we, Myka? Who the hell are we? This is episode 262 of your favorite Airbnb, VRBO, short-term, mid-term, long-term rental podcast in the world, coming at you from Fort Worth and Arlington, Texas.
Let's go, man.
Ready to kick some butt today. Yes, sir. You asked me how I'm doing, and I said I'm transitioning to taking over the short-term rental side of my business. I've been doing the corporate rental side. Fed has been handling the short-term rental side, but he's stepping off to do some adventurous stuff, and I wish him all the luck. But he's handing me this thing, and I'm trying to make it my own in a way, shape it and shift it. And I don't want to work 20 hours a day, Myka, so I'm trying to figure out how not to do that.
I'm the same.
Fed is a machine. I'm not a machine. I'm just I'd rather pass it on to somebody. Here, you handle this. So that's what I've been up doing. Yeah, man. How you been doing? How's your real estate and short-term rental ventures going?
Man, I just finished a refi last Friday. The refi that was the refi from hell that's been taking me a year and a half to get done. Because I had to do the rehab and all that. So we finished that last Friday. That was the best news we've had in a while. And then kind of like you, I'm kind of in the same boat, trying to outsource some more stuff because transitioning into midterm also has its own challenges of when people report things that aren't just through Airbnb and setting up those processes. And we've set up a pretty good Google Voice process that goes straight to my VA and stuff like that. But yeah, man, it's business is changing, business is definitely changing, man. So, it's always something new to learn, but the best part about it, and this is why I love this podcast, is we know people that can help us and we can help other people. And that's why we keep on thriving.
That's it, man. It's so funny. It's so freaking funny. I got a random phone call today, right? Yeah. But the name, there was a name on the number. It said Johnny Rose. And I was like, who the hell is Johnny Rose? But I said, hey, what's up? I always think, well, maybe it was I think it said Johnny Rose Airbnb, so I was like, okay, well, that must, okay. Hey, Johnny, what's going on? I pretended like I knew the dude, right? It's because I could be a potential, management client or something, networking. I don't want to be like, who the hell is this? So I answered the phone. He's like, hey, brother, what's going on, man? How you been? He's like, I was like, oh, good, man. How you been? Just playing along like I knew who he was. He's like, oh man, I've been doing good, man. I just busy as always. Hey man, on that show, on your last episode, that lady, what's she up to? She looking for people to manage, to she looking for units for people. What's going on with her? And I was like, oh, Julie George, our last episode. I was like, yeah, she's kind of out of the game, She's kind of retired, working the circuit now, but she used to get properties because she was a real estate agent. And then she would end up managing for these people, telling them, well, I could do it, make it a short-term rental for you. And then it'll make you double the money than a regular rental. And I tried to explain her story a little bit. Oh, okay. That's how she was coming up, man. I was wondering, I love your podcast so much because, it's just inspiring because y'all, I'm trying to do my thing, but y'all are always interviewing these people that are doing big things. She's the millionaire real estate person. And then it inspires me to want to do more and stuff like that. And he's like, hey, he just went on. And I still didn't know who the fuck this guy was. Right. And so, and finally he goes, hey man, I know you mentioned me on the show too. And I was like, oh, okay. I hope it was good. He's like, no. He goes, you was talking shit. And I was like, and he's like, I'm just kidding. You weren't talking shit. He said, you mentioned me, you ran into me at Walmart, remember? And I was buying those cornhole game, and I brought him up on the show. He goes, we started talking about Airbnb. And I was like, oh, now I remember you, man. I was like, sorry, I just, I drew a blank.
I just let you ramble.
Yeah. And he's like, no, man, yeah, we started. He goes, you didn't say nothing bad about it. You were just saying what happened and met at the store and all that stuff. And he goes, yeah, man, I love your podcast and everything. He goes, hey, by the way, is that Myka guy black? And I was like, because Johnny Rose is black. And I was like, yeah, he's black. Why? What's up? I guess he just listens to it. He don't watch it.
Yeah.
He's like, oh yeah. I figured he was black, man, because he really goes hard on the show sometimes and on the keeping it real side, because he'll be like, fuck that. This is really what's going on. That's like, he goes, you're trying to keep it under control, I see, but then Myka just goes off on him sometimes. It's like, I figured he was black. And I was like, oh man, I was dying, dude. But but it was cool. We just had this conversation. It really lifted me up, dude. I've been, it's been real. Let's just say it's been a struggle, because there's so much other shit going on too, Yeah. I mean, of course, not a struggle like you've been going through, but like my house, I finally got my rental house, my first rental house. Remember the one in Arlington, that first house I ever owned.
Yeah,
I finally got him out of my house and all that shit, And I went in there the other day, and it's fucking trash, dude. So I've been going through that. Now I got my handyman. It kind of hurt my heart a little because that's my first house, and we got married and all that shit. It's gonna be pretty again. No worries, part of the business.
Yeah.
But I've been going through that. Every AC it seems that I own is going out, so I've been going through all the ACs, paying out thousands of dollars. And then of course, and all this happens right on August 1st when I took over the business, and now I'm trying. It's just been. But getting a phone call like that from a fan, of the show, and just saying how inspired, he is from listening to us, I was like, oh man, that really lifted my spirits. I was like, oh shit, this is why we do this business. This is why we do what we do.
It made you stop and smell the roses, man.
Yeah,
for real.
Yeah.
That's what it makes you do. Stop and smell the roses. It sounds like all this shit's piling on, but it's always some good out there for coming, man. So yeah, man. But and I'm happy. Like, if you want to talk about your first house, I think that would really help listeners, because we're a short-term rental podcast, and your first house was a long-term rental. Does that make you look at the long-term rental game different? Because I'll also go ahead.
Yeah, well, it reminds me of what could happen. Well, the people think, oh, it's just a safe. I just throw a long-termer in there. No, that ain't how it is either. And it's not that you can't. It's taught me a lot dealing with shitty tenants. Taught me how to screen and find good tenants. I'm still not perfect at it. I mean, maybe there's still some, I could still miss every now and then. They could bring in their crazy felon boyfriend and fuck everything up. I mean, anything could happen in a long-term rental, just like a short-term rental. But it's just dealing with it and having your systems in place to handle bad situations, and having your systems in place to you always checking on your property. Even if it's a long term, you just set it, forget it. No, you still gotta at least get some eyes on it every month and go in there and do maintenance checks or something like that. You know what I'm saying? So I mean, there's pros and cons to both. I'm not saying I'll never do. I still have 2 houses that are long term, so I'm not. Those are cool, but that one I probably turn into a long term. But as far as people saying, I just rather, I feel safer doing long term. No, man, because they could really jack your house up. Plus, they get renters' rights, and you could be trying to kick them out for a long time.
Man, so question, was it an eviction or?
I'll tell you this. I've been hinting. I've been trying to get him out for a long time. That she'll throw me some money. She'll throw me some money. And I just put it on the back burner, not trying to deal with it because I got so much else going on. Then finally, the tipping point is when I went over there, because I know the neighbors, and I was looking for a mechanic for my car was leaking some antifreeze or some shit. So I was like, I'll take it to my old mechanic over there, and it's right by my house, and I saw my house and the shape it was in from the outside, how they weren't taking care of it. And it was just, oh man, the grass was like a freaking jungle in the front yard, backyard, shit growing everywhere. I mean, it was crazy. So I was like, man, this is I told him, man, I said, y'all gotta leave. I said, y'all gotta leave. And then I went home. I was like, well, am I gonna start this eviction process because she's not answering my calls and shit like that, But I went home. I have the Law Depot on my lawdepot.com on my computer. So that's where I do my leases. You know, I write out my leases and stuff like that. But it has an eviction section. You can type out an eviction paper and sign it, and then either give it to them in person, or, which I don't think that would work too good, or you hire a service to deliver it. You know what I'm saying? So it's documented and everything. But I printed like 10 of those motherfuckers out, right? I'm sorry, I'm cussing today. But so I printed 10 of those, and I said, y'all got 7 days notice to get out for blah, 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 blah. It goes, lease is up. Lease is already, I'm not renewing you. You have 7 days to leave, blah, 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 blah. I printed them up. I signed them, made it look all professional. I taped those, because they didn't answer the door either. So I taped those motherfuckers all over the house. And I was like, well, let's see what happens. And then she finally called me, hey, you know, okay, we're gonna leave and this and that. And then but can we have a couple extra days because we got so much stuff. And so yeah, they left about on the 9th day or so. They left to the house, but they got them out. It didn't, you know, I think technically you got to give them 30 days, even if they're out of a lease. But I just put 7 on there. And like I said, just to see what would happen. And they left. They left of their own accord. But like I said, when I stepped into that house, oh Lord, it was trash. They had 2 freaking pit bulls in there, you know, and they chewed up all the hardwood floors, all the it's laminate flooring and shit. Well, they pissed and shit everywhere too, you know. It stunk in there so bad. Power was out. I don't know what's going on with that. I'll tell you more on that, but just walking through it, the bathrooms were I mean, it was so trash. They left so much shit behind too, right? I mean, they left so much crap in there, man. Beds and toys and all kinds of crap, dude. And the garage was full of shit too. So can't even get to assess the damages yet until we get all that crap out of there. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so so that's what we're in the process of doing. And I called to get the electricity turned on. They said, oh, there's a hold on the electricity. You got to send all this proof that you own the house and shit like that. So I guess they weren't paying the bills on the electric side too, and they got shut down. And how do you live in Texas without, you know, electricity?
Gotta be a bad mother. Yeah.
She ran out of kids to put the bills' names in and shit. But
yeah, man.
So yeah, man. It was a mess, but
yeah,
it's the first house that got me into real estate. You know,
yeah.
I was so scared to become a landlord. You know, I was like, well, I should just sell it. I should just fucking sell it. But I didn't sell it. It took me into being a landlord. I said, okay, landlord ain't too bad. And then the second house, that's the one I tried Airbnb for the first time. So that was scary too, because I remember I said, I'll just turn it into a long term. I don't know what to do. And then you convinced me. You said, no, you gotta try it, man. You gotta try it. So I did. And so the second house brought me into, and of course, your house gets trashed sometimes in Airbnb. And so that it seems like that. There's the growing pains with everything new you try. You're not going to be perfect at something that you try right away, but you learn and you grow and you become stronger, right? So I mean, it's worth it to try new things, even if shit happens bad. Yeah, it's gonna happen, right? Anything, you're gonna get into sports, you're gonna fucking get injured. I mean, there's all kinds of crap, but it's worth it to try new things, and so you'll grow as a person.
There you go. You hit it. So you grow as a person, man. That's the biggest thing I've learned about being, you know, having your own business and going through the ups and downs, because it ain't always pretty. You know, you have to grow and become a different person to really sustain it and to really keep at it. Now, one question I also did have for you, because, you know, I have a long-term tenant now. This is technically my first long-term tenant, and, you know, it's a Section 8 tenant, but she seems pretty cool. How often were you like laying eyes on the property?
At first, I would go by there once a month, I guess, just to check it out. And then they would call me, hey, could you check on this? And I'd go check on whatever it was. You know, they were communicative with me. But you know, life happens, and I got the second rental going, and the Airbnb side is more time demanding and stuff. And so I kind of like just put that one to the wayside. Plus, I think that's when they started. I said no dogs, and I think that's when they started sneaking in their dogs. So then they didn't want me to come around no more, you know, kind of thing. So I wasn't getting the phone call for them to come fix these little things anymore, because there's like, oh, he's gonna find out we got dogs. And then you know, life happens, start having kids, and then time is so limited and precious that we didn't live by there anymore over that area. So we never went over there anymore. So it just became less and less that I even looked at the house. And so yeah, I think you do, and I've heard this from seasoned landlords before, have it in your clause that you're gonna go do maintenance once a month, or have a maintenance guy go there and check the filters, check whatever, once a month. Just if anything, just to get eyes on the place, like you said.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm gonna do from now on. Just have someone go out there and swap out the filters and whatever, shit like that once a month, and just so they can keep track of how it's looking in that house.
Yeah, my tenant, my landlord, my tenant, she's been doing pretty well at she's pretty communicative. She tells you if stuff goes wrong. She's actually had a great job. And one good thing is you got to check or start. Well, next time I'm doing a rehab, I'm definitely got to be on site to do it and check it, because it's like stuff that the contractor should have had done that she's noticing, and I'm like, what the hell is going on here? But she's been pretty communicative. But one thing I've done to like consistently keep an eye on the property is I have someone mow the grass. They'll tell me if anything's going on, and that's just a cheap $40 a week. And then of course, once it gets to winter months, it goes a little further out. But he always constantly has eyes on the property, and I think it kind of makes them also kind of try to keep it up. But she kept it up from the day we moved. She had set up the front porch really nice, swept it off. And she made it a really nice property. And even when something does go wrong, she sends pictures, so then we can see, kind of take a little bit of a look inside. And I also have my uncle who's the handyman, and he fixes anything like plumbing and everything, so he always goes in and out. That's why I was asking you, because I'm now learning the long-term rental side as well. It's only been a couple months, and it's Section 8, so the money's gonna always come. It's guaranteed income. That's the one thing I love about it. On the first, you get your check in your account. But yeah, man, it has its ups and downs. But yeah, man. So but we are a real estate, and we do mainly focus on short-term rental. How is the short-term rental side going, man?
It's a good question, man. The short-term rentals, it's the summertime, and actually these have been pretty like record months for the June and July have been like record months for us. And that's even in Dallas at the ghetto units, everywhere. And like I said, we do a lot of midterm. We do so much midterm now. That's become a big part of our business. At least half the business, I think, is we get midterm stays. Not just the insurance claims, but like furnish finder stays too. That not a lot of travel nurses, but furnish finder people that are like here look like either going to school or here for internships. That's really big right now, man. Internships, because they always do internships in the summer in Dallas. You realize that, right?
Yeah. We just have an intern in my job.
Yeah. So it's summertime in Dallas, man. It's big for internships, and that makes me think I need to figure out how to reach out to interns.
College campuses, man. That's a hit. Especially like if you have anything near Arlington, UTA, UTD, all those. Because we just hired an intern, and they that's like guaranteed in the summertime. But yeah, on the short term side, yeah, man, I'm mostly midterm too. I had like 2 long-term tenants check out. So this month we are back on like the short term and the Airbnb side. So in our chat, that's why I asked a couple of those Airbnb questions, because I had to get used to being back on there again. But we had another midterm check-in today. So I'm happy to always have the midterm. I love that midterm play, man. It's easier, less wear and tear on the property. And if something goes wrong, they're going to usually tell you. And it's just I've been loving the midterm as well.
I don't know if you come across this yet, but on the midterm front, so every now and then, a Karen will book your place midterm, right? And they get there, and there's like, oh, there's no way we're staying here. It's in blah 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 blah. We want a full refund right now. And you're dealing direct with them, right? So how do you handle the situation if they don't want to be there? They're gonna be pissed off. They want to get out, and they want to end the lease and all that stuff, How do you handle situations like that?
I haven't had that, but if it was, most of mine have been B2B. So usually, I don't know. And I don't know how that works if it's a business to business, because I think with insurance, they say, hey, that's why they let them view it first, so they can take a look around. So if they do come back and I think the insurance tells them, hey, you looked at it. I don't know. But what I would do in a situation like that, if it's a lease, I'll say, hey, I'll let you leave, but you're going to forfeit your security deposit. If it's a B2C, I would make them forfeit the security deposit or do something like that, or get all your money up front with admin fees or application fees. And then if they cancel, you just keep your admin application fees and keep that in your pocket. But yes, forfeiting that security deposit would be my first thing.
That dude. And that's happened a few times for us. And we made a quick $1,000, $1,500, whatever the security deposit is, right? We made a quick $1,000 or $1,500. So like, all right, just keep it, blah, blah, blah. Just cancel the lease. And for like, so I'm like, man, that's like a one night stay for $1,500. That's not too bad for a
not at all. Facts. That's what I do. Forfeit that security deposit. You can leave.
But I need to make sure the wording in my lease is saying that if you do, skip out, then the security deposit will be applied towards what you owe on the rent. I think it does say that somewhere, but I need to make sure so I can just send them that here. Boom. This is what happens if you skip out. You still owe me for the whole 3 months, but we're keeping this to apply towards it. And then whatever. Now I have we did, like you said, B2B. We did tell here's a funny story. And I was kind of apprehensive when they said this because there's a place in Austin, right? That we have, it's a duplex kind of thing, and she has both sides. So sometimes you rent out one or the other, sometimes you rent out both together. You know how it is. You make 3 different listings, and so they wanted to rent one side for like 3 months for these people that were, it might have been like a house damage or something. I forgot what it was, but they said, oh, but we're out of the state right now. We're out of the city. We're out of the state, but our in-laws are going to go by and look at it and then let us know if it's good. But we want to go ahead and move forward with the lease because blah, 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 through the pictures and everything. So you kind of know where I'm going with this. The in-laws went like, and they said, oh my God, there's trash out front and blah, 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 blah. It just happened to go like right after a cleaning, right? So all the cleaners put all the trash out on the curb. And so when they rolled up on the house, because they couldn't go in, because I said, y'all can drive by it but there's still tenants there until y'all's move-in date. And so they drove past it and they're like, well, there's so much trash out front and then the neighborhood and this and that. And I said, all right, well, if y'all want to cancel, we'll keep the $1,500 deposit and then y'all can cancel the lease. That's fine. And then I told that to because the corporate housing lady was asking me, how can they get out of this lease? Blah, blah, blah. The in-laws said this and this. I said, yeah, we'll keep the $1,500 lease and y'all can get out. And I guess the corporate housing talked to them and told them that. Said, oh, you know what? Maybe it was trash day. They started changing their tune. Maybe it was trash day or something. Maybe I think they're gonna go ahead with it anyways. I was like, all right, but yeah, let me know if they want to get out of it. So I think that's a good. I think that's a good thing now is just keeping these security deposits on people, and that they can cancel. You can cancel.
Yeah,
we'll just rent it out.
Yeah, that's how I look at it. Because especially because I haven't done too many B2Cs yet. I did have a B2C.
And explain for the listeners and viewers what B2B and B2C is.
Business to consumer and business to business. So business to consumer, I would consider like, let's say someone books your place on Airbnb for a month. Like I would consider that like a business to consumer midterm stay. Basically, I've only had a couple of those. I had one who stayed and she was a complainer. She booked through Airbnb. She stayed a month. She was like, and she was complaining about stuff that I wouldn't complain about, but I understand where she was complaining about. Basically what she was doing was she would complain about the complex itself, not the unit. Like she even wrote in a message, well, I love your place, but the complex itself, like, people let their dogs poop everywhere, stuff like that. I'm like, okay, I understand it, but I don't control that. You know what I mean? So, you have one of those types of complainers. But she was pretty cool about it. We let her know, hey, we don't really control it. And she understood it. And she stayed out the whole stay. The only thing is, and that's why I don't like taking them through Airbnb, because if they complain to Airbnb now, Airbnb can, try to make their judgment and decision. I just don't like going through that. And it's been like the biggest relief not having to go through that anymore. So, that's why I'm continuing to stay strong in that midterm space and continuing to stay on top of our marketing, man.
And go ahead.
No, go ahead.
You mentioned Airbnb about complaining to Airbnb. Man, they started for a while going to our side a little bit and siding with us, but they're hardcore back with the customers again. Hardcore, dude. Because if you get a few complaints and it happens to be about the same thing, even if it's stupid shit like, well, in the pictures the house looked bigger, and if 2 or 3 people say that, they shut down your account, and you have to fight to get it back because of people that are mentioning, and it's not even nothing. I mean, it was nothing like a dangerous situation or shit like that. It was just they start nitpicking your house, because we have a house that we manage for somebody, and the pictures it looks a little bit, pictures they make it look better, a house with a pool and all that stuff, but I still think it's a nice house. But anyway, some people, so you get Karens in there, and then you pay a little bit more because it's a pool, so the people are paying more money for this house, so they expect the Taj Mahal, of course, and then they start complaining about it. So it got a few of these complaints about the same thing, and Airbnb just suspended the listing altogether. And of course, our client calls us freaking out and everything. And I'm like, hey man, Airbnb is changing the way they're doing business now. They're siding with the guests more than the host. It kind of shifted a little, at least even, and now it's going way back to the other side. And they're doing whatever they can to keep these customers coming to Airbnb. I guess they're having some issues or something.
They got to, man. I haven't really been. I'm gonna have to learn from y'all. I haven't really been up in the Airbnb space, but I will say this new cleaning turnover service with Well and Good's been pretty good at keeping the guests at bay. There's a few things they can fix on the cleaning side, but as far as keeping the guests at bay and the guests are usually pretty satisfied when they check in. So I haven't had too many issues, but I'm definitely advertising hard to get out of Airbnb. And so I've been getting a lot of midterms through Landing. Have you been using Landing?
Man, you were talking smack about them, so I didn't even really bother. I thought.
Oh yeah, I'm about to. That's why I'm asking you.
No, I haven't really used them. No.
Nah, they'll give you a lot of midterm clientele, but I think Landing's issue is I think they're prepping their company to sell or something, or they can't sell, one of the two. So last month, I think I told y'all, I think they owed me like 15 bands, man. I'm like, and it wasn't coming. So I'm like hitting them up, having to call their people, and they like, my bad. Well, it'll be there tomorrow. Just check your Stripe account. Check my Stripe account, nothing. Next day, I had to call again. They finally sent it, but I had to hound them down and get my paper, man. I'm like, yo, what's going on? So, and the other thing I haven't dealt with them on, I'm Mike, shout out to Mike Brown. He was like, man, they're pretty good at paying out for damages. I had one of them damage my TV, cracked the counter inside of the apartment. So I'm trying to deal with that. I don't know how they deal with that or fix it, but yeah, bro, Landing, I don't know, man. They're good, but you're gonna have to hound them down for your money, and you're gonna have to check their guests because their guests, man, they ain't that great. And I haven't received a payout yet, so I'll have to be tracking that down next month, receiving that payout for the damages. So yeah,
they ain't paying their shit.
Yeah, man. So that's why I was like, yeah, not really too much of a fan of them, but but I love those those B2C. That's why I like B2C checks. They send that check to you and you just go cash it your damn self, not waiting on Landing to send your shit through Stripe. But yeah, man. Speaking of the houses right now in Dallas, man, are you trying to pick up more doors, or what's y'all play right now?
Oh man, I want to talk to you. I was trying to, because you mentioned Landing, and I'm like, man, I know they're not paying you out, whatever. They still owe you money. But I just told my VA, get us on Landing, because Mike Brown's big on Landing. He's big on Landing. So I'm gonna get, because we've been putting our properties everywhere. All of our properties are pretty much full. This is the thing. But I do want, but the slow season's coming, so I want to have different options. Dallas. Here's what I did want to talk to you about, Dallas, because
me too.
So I'm kind of torn on Dallas because on one end, I'm like, yeah, let's get the fuck out of Dallas. The band's coming and all this stuff, and we don't know where the cookie's gonna fall, right? Or if that's an analogy. But and so on the other end, I'm like, man, when this band start happening and these people, start, shutting down all these houses and stuff, it's gonna be a lot less competition, right? So if you are positioned, if you have some properties in decent locations, and people still gonna come to Dallas, they've always come to Dallas, right? Everywhere, people want to come visit Dallas, and you don't have half your competition's gone. That's gonna be pretty good, right?
Yeah.
So it might be good to hold on to these Dallas properties.
I would definitely say hold on if you're in the multifamily space because you're still good. I would definitely hold on there. Yeah, hold on there because I mean they're gonna wipe out all the single family, right? One thing I've noticed, I chopped it up with a fan of the show. Shout out to our boy Josh, been on the show before too. He was saying the same thing. He goes, but so his situation was he put his house on the market before the ban even came because he was like, man, the West Dallas area, the Trinity Groves area is getting saturated, right? Just saturated with these short-term rentals. But what's happening is now that the bans came, everyone's trying to throw their house on the market, and people ain't paying because the interest rate's too high. Like these houses going for $450 plus in West Dallas over in Trinity Groves area. It's getting gentrified, but it ain't gentrified yet. You still got a nice $500,000 house sitting next to the dope spot. So these people, they coming and looking at these houses, they're like, hell no, I ain't paying $500,000. Plus, I probably can't afford it anyway because the interest rate's at 9%, right? Mm-hmm. By the way, I refinanced at 7%, so I'm happy I got that 7%. Not great, but better than what everybody else is getting. So everything's sitting still. So like Mike Brown sent me this house yesterday. It's been sitting since December, right? Brand new build. Badass looking house. I'm like, damn. And I was thinking about calling, trying to pull the sub 2 move. But the problem is these are builders who's sitting there and they can't really just sub 2 it to you because they got to get off from under that money. So I don't know. That's why I'm working. Y'all know I just finished the book, Pace Morby's book. So I got to get a little bit more creative to figure out how I can try to get some of those deals because I think you're right. You mentioned you were going through the sub 2 and owner financing. I think that's the play in Dallas, man, because stuff is sitting, man. I'm talking brand new builds are sitting. I got a place I'm about to take over that's might be sitting because, with the interest rates going up, the lady's trying to refinance it, but she can't cash flow as a long term. My thing was, hey, you might want to sell it, but if it's just going to sit, you might as well or just go midterm. But I think midterm is going to get saturated as well, like you said, if everyone's hopping that side. But, Dallas is a real interesting play right now. Real interesting.
It feels like one of those moments in time where you're like 2 or 3 years from now, we'll be like, damn, I should have substituted every motherfucking house in Dallas. It feels like one of those moments because they're just sitting there, like you said. That doesn't happen very often in real estate. Mm-hmm. Every 10 to 15 years, something crazy happens. But it feels like one of those moments where if you can find a creative way to snap these houses up and just hold the fort, break even, maybe lose a little, just hold on, man, because it's all gonna come back. So it feels like one of those moments right now, and sub 2, and I think it's so funny because even a few months ago, people didn't know what the freak sub 2 was, right? Even agents. Now agents are kind of getting hip to it, like, oh, wait a minute, if I put sub 2 on this listing, someone might actually come buy this and we could, we can get our client out of this deal. And it's kind of becoming a tool for the savvy, like real estate investing agents. They're using it as a tool to sell these houses. But some of them are calling it sub 2, but putting balloons on it. So I'm like, is that really sub 2 if you're throwing a balloon on this motherfucker?
What do you mean a balloon?
Like a 5-year balloon they got to refinance out. You know what I'm saying? That's not, to me, that's not true sub 2. Sub 2 is like, you already take over the deed and you keep it going and it stays in their name perpetually, like Adam Johnson taught us to do. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. But they're calling it sub 2, but adding balloons to it. Like in 5 years, you got to get out of this. You got to refinance out of this thing. Yeah,
that's true sub 2, but they're basically seeing that. I'm happy you brought this up because I was just talking to somebody and that's the issue today. He goes, yeah, I was talking to my boy. He said, yeah, man, someone offered to sub 2 the house, but he goes, I don't want it sub 2 because I want the mortgage off my name because I'm trying to go buy somewhere else. I was like, oh, but I think I heard Pace Morby saying, I need to hop in this course, man. We will chalk it up on in the chat. But Pace was like, there's a way that they won't show up on the mortgage. He said you can put the mortgage in limbo or something. It's either the deed or the mortgage can go in limbo. So that's what I'm trying to figure out how to do now. And got to hop in this group and, chop it up with a few people. But yeah, it is sub 2, but most of the time whenever you hear them hitting that balloon at the end, they really want that mortgage off their name and a big payout coming their way.
Because I've seen, I followed Pace for a little while now, and I've seen what Pace does. Pace is cold-blooded. He's next level. He's doing creative shit on top of creative shit on top of creative shit. Like, for example, he'll go up to a place, take it over, zero money down, right? Or maybe he'll have to pay a chunk of money, but his private money will cover that, and then he'll pays out the private money for a low interest rate, whatever. And so he takes over this place, gets the deed, then he'll go and owner finance it to somebody else, like a long-term tenant or something like that, at a higher price and with a big down payment and a 5-year balloon. So he has this deed in hand, which the mortgage is in someone else's name, but then he goes and sells it to somebody else, owner financing, because he don't want to be a landlord on that property, or it doesn't fit being a landlord on it. It doesn't fit being a short-term rental or whatever he wants to do with it. So if he says, okay, but it's a nice house for a family, they can come in here, owner finance it, 5-year balloon. Then they're going to finance out of it. They're going to finance out of the original mortgage. I'm going to get paid here. I'm going to get paid here. So it's like, man, he's setting up these.
All right.
I mean, if these things are correct, what he's saying online, it's like some cold-blooded stuff, dude. He's getting paid on top of getting paid. God,
yeah. He's setting up raps. See, because I read his book. So basically, he starts with the exit strategy in mind first, and that's how you definitely got to start these deals. Like, hey, something goes wrong. How do I get off from under this deal? I can let somebody else refinance it to their name, by wrapping it to them and owner financing it, and then getting a huge chunk of change. It's like I've seen some of them where he's putting money down, but he'll, like you said, he'll go get the person he's wrapping it to owner finance it to put down the huge down payment. He pays back the private money, and then he just collects the minimal payments until then. And then 5 years, they refinance. He's already walking out with his cash. So, yeah, man, it's an interesting thing right now, especially in Dallas, because interest rates and property taxes ain't stopping. And one thing I did have a question to you. So we were just talking about Dallas and, it being up in the air because everything that's going on. So, DSTRA is planning on suing the city of Dallas.
Dallas Short-Term Rental
Alliance. They are planning on suing the city of Dallas. What are your thoughts on that? I've been out of the loop for a while, so what's going on?
Now, I haven't really followed too much to be honest, but I know whenever they say lawsuit, I just saw Arlington tried that. It didn't go nowhere, right? Grapevine is an interesting case. Everybody brings up Grapevine, Texas, right here. And they said they've been on that lawsuit for a few years now. But the thing is, it's expensive as hell. And the only people that can operate in Grapevine, still legally, are the people that are actually on the lawsuit.
Yeah.
And to be on that lawsuit, part of that lawsuit, you got to be paying money every single month. You got to be, you got to be part of that group that's going to be paying money every single month to be part of that lawsuit. It's not like, oh, someone started a lawsuit, we're all covered. No, just the people on that lawsuit are going to be covered, but they're not going to just let anybody get on there. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
They're going to just put people that are actually going to pay and help pay these freaking lawyers, because it's going to go on forever.
They're going to run you dry.
Now, if you got a mansion that's making $10,000 a day in freaking Grapevine, yeah, you can afford to be on that lawsuit, and it's good. It's a good move, right? But if you got a single family 3-2 that's making $3,000 a month, it's probably not worth it to pay $1,000 a month to be part of that lawsuit, right?
Yeah.
So I'm just saying, I don't know how it's going to shake out, and it's probably the same thing. The people that are on the lawsuit are actually protected, and they can keep operating, in Dallas. But I don't know if I want to be part of that. If I'm just got little single families that are making, a little bit of money, and they want a lot of money from me every single month, and then, hey, what happens if the market turns? Am I still part of this lawsuit? What's going? I don't know. There's a lot of. I gotta go, I gotta go sit in on one of those things or watch them virtually to see what's going on. But that's my understanding of how these lawsuits, when someone sues a city, who's protected is the ones that are actually part of it. Their name's on the lawsuit.
See, and that just so happened in Grapevine where they protected them. In Dallas, I mean, it could happen in Dallas, but the thing that I'm looking at is these lawyers, they're basically bleeding you dry. Because, I mean, you're sitting here, they're going to keep pushing it back. The city already has like a lawyer on tab for this, you know what I'm saying, to prepare for this. So I hope it goes through, you know what I mean? I hope they win, but I was just wondering about that, and how that's going to affect, you know what I mean? Because
it's fucked up. And you probably already know. I mean, we all we know how things are in this country. But if you've ever been in court and going through some stuff, I'm not saying I have, I'm not saying I haven't, but You see the lawyers and the prosecutors shaking hands, embracing, hey man, when are we gonna meet up, play some golf again? And then the shaking hands with the judge. They all fucking know each other, man. Right. And that's some shit. So it's not like I'm gonna get this lawyer and we're gonna take over this town. You know what I'm saying? No, you ain't in their level.
Bro.
They all know each other. They all talking, okay, how's this gonna go? How's this really gonna fucking go? How's it gonna play out? How am I gonna get a lot of money and you're gonna get your satisfaction?
I know somebody who was facing a case a long time ago.
Yeah.
And he was talking to these different lawyers. And, the lawyer straight up said, man, this case, I'm going to tell you, if you want to get off of it, this is who you need to hire, and this is how much it's going to cost. And you ain't got to ever, you going to win. He was like, this lawyer's going to be $200K. This is how much it's going to cost if you want to get off this and you want to win. And he was like, hey, this is the lawyer's track record. This lawyer's well connected, meaning he knows the judges. He knows other lawyers. So you get that 200 bands. And I was like, so you get his lawyer 200K. I'm like, that's what happens. He gets his 200. He starts dishing it out. Hey, here's this. Hey, man, we let this dude, we slap him on the wrist. Basically is what it is. I'm like, yo, that's how the system be working, man. I be watching. I'm like, yo, this shit, wow. But, it's you got to pay to play. That's how it works, man.
That's how we've always been saying. How do all these white people get off from murder, man? I don't understand. What's going on here? We can't even cross the street wrong.
Man. That's how the game goes, man, for real. But yeah, man. And
I think people, not white people, rich people. I don't want to be
rich people.
Rich minority. Even OJ got off. There you go.
There you go. Rich people. Oh man. But yeah, man. I just feel like I hope that's not how it's gonna be in Dallas. I don't know if they're just gonna bleed the people dry. I hope not. But yeah, I would definitely sub 2 because even at Dallas with everything sitting, I think it's still a great time to because I don't remember I do short term, but I will sub 2 for long term as well. Especially like you said, if you can hold out on that storm 5-10 years from now, you like, damn, you look like a genius, so
feels like one of those moments in time, man.
I think it is one of those moments in time. I agree with you, man. I think it is.
Man, so yeah, that was on my list. Dallas opportunities. I think we were gonna hop out of Dallas too, but I'm kind of talking to the complex about giving us a nice deal to stay. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Plus, we've been at these places for so long. That was before we even started doing these clauses in case Dallas bans Airbnb or short-term rentals that we can have 30 days to leave. We do that, right? We do that now. But back in the day, we didn't know what we didn't know. So we've been here for a long time, and we just put the leases in our own names, and plus we didn't have any escape clauses, right? Yeah. And so I told them we might consider to stay if give us a good deal on an extension, give us lower the rent a little bit, and give us that out clause that we're asking for, the 30 days out if they ban whatever. And also let us switch them to the LLC name. And it seems like they're gonna do that. And now I'm tempted to, hey, they're already furnished, right? They're already fully furnished and all that stuff.
Yeah.
Why not just go ahead and stay? We have that 30-day out clause anyways.
Yeah.
And so if shit really gets bad in Dallas, we can just say, hey man, look at this, peace out. We gotta leave. And then there you go. So that's what I'm leaning towards, Yeah. So I don't know. What about you?
Man, we just cut a deal and we're probably backing out of it with the complex that we're currently with. They want to, so basically this complex, and I don't know if I told this story, I probably did, it's been a while. The complex sent us their numbers. Like we talked to the guy over everything at the complex and he showed us what was going on at the complex. He was like, yeah, man, because we had reached out to him. We basically sent him an email. We're like, hey man, if you ever want to partner with more units, we'd love to be the people you come to and have a first right to refusal. They were all for it. But then me and Mike, we hopped on a call with him and he gave us a full list of like what units they're trying to give us. He's like trying to give us these first and second floor units. And I started noticing nobody wants to be on the first floor. I'm like, oh, they must have some break-ins. I'm like, plus I don't want my people on the first floor anyway, just, people above them. And so this complex is going through this really bad vacancy period. They're having these vacancies. They got all these vacancies coming up, plus all the other vacancies that are currently going on. And then the management there suck. Not the management doesn't suck. They're just very slow to respond to certain issues. So when we talk to them, they start prioritizing us and things like that. So you can kind of work with these complexes and, get good deals if you know where they stand. You got to have that meeting so you can see where they stand, and then you can really push forward. But we're probably not going to pick up the additional units just because we're just going to keep the units we currently have, because we have some furniture we have right now that we're looking to deploy either inside of a house, or we will come back to them. But one thing we are doing right now is we are looking at all the cities around Dallas, like cities on the south side, cities on the north side. I think the north side is going to get more saturated than the south side because most people want to be up north, the Friscos, the Planos, the Richardsons. So those are the areas we are focusing on. And I think that's just the play because, I think in December, you're going to see a bunch of fire sales in Dallas. So all the people who are holding out, trying to scrap and buy, making their money. Also, you might see a fire sale when school starts in 2-3 weeks. So that stretch from mid-August to the end of September. So right when school starts to right when football starts, you might see people hopping out then because they're going to hit a slow season and then they can't recover on the back end because December you got to shut down. So I start watching for those fire sales now and go into that sub 2 route, But if you're gonna go houses, I would definitely go into the suburbs, go into the burbs.
Let's form a sub 2 LLC, man. All of us guys right here, and then we can.
I'm down.
It's easier to hold the fort if you have a bunch of guys in it together.
I'm down, bro. I'm down. I know my boy. I got my boy. He down too, man. And he's I got to connect a guy that would be, interested in doing that for sure.
Maintenance hack at semi-ghetto apartments complexes where they're not too quick on getting the maintenance done. Get Julio's contact number. You know what I'm saying? Get Julio's contact number. He'll go out there. 150. I do anything, man. 150.
Hey, we did that in Houston, man. Me and my boy Norm.
It helps if you speak Spanish too.
For real, me and my boy Norm, man, we did that in Houston, bro. We were like, dude, forget all this, man. Let's just go ahead and I was like, let's just go ahead and get this maintenance dude's number. And we did, man. And it worked out perfect for us.
Yeah,
it's been working out perfectly for us.
They'll make some bread on the side after hours, whatever. They got the keys, they know what to do, and they'll go fix something, but you got to give them a little bread. It's all good.
Gotta pay them with paper.
Money talks, man. In any business, money talks,
Straight up, man.
Julio will take care of you, brother.
That's the fact, man.
Oh man. Let me see. We got a lot of stuff to talk about. People still. Oh, go ahead.
One thing remember I asked you guys, is ALE servicing clients other than insurance clients? So remember I said earlier on the show, I was like, hey, I have a midterm guest checking in. So the midterm guest is this person. It's the person that, so I'll tell the backstory. So basically I had this midterm guest from ALE. ALE sent me this person and they were like, hey, do you have this house available? And I was like, yeah, it's available. They can go view it. The lady went and viewed it. I'm thinking regular insurance client. She went and viewed it. ALE came back and said, well, she didn't want the place. She said she said, hey, we're going to pass. We don't want the place. This is one tip. Always ask them why, because they will tell you, right? So I asked them, hey, what made her pass on it? Because I wanted to make sure it was in good shape. Like, it wasn't falling apart in there. She was like, oh, no. She said that she recognized a couple of cars in the neighborhood and she just didn't want to be there. So I was like, recognized cars in the neighborhood. So I started thinking, like, is this an insurance client or is this somebody like, not on the run, but like maybe running from a bad situation, like, battered situation from a boyfriend? I don't know. That's all I was like. So I asked Steve, I'm like, Steve, Mike, and Fetty, I'm like, y'all ever seen this? I'm like, no. So a couple of days later, she hits me back. She goes, hey, I didn't realize you own the other place in our network too. So I said, yeah. Now this place is smaller, not as nice. So I was like, yeah, she can go view it. She went to view it, said, oh yeah, I want it. It's like, this place? But I'm like, okay, whatever. So I was like, cool. I sent them the rent, ALE approved it. And she's moving in today. But I was just like, it was just like, is this an insurance client? I don't know. I just No, I didn't ask it. And the reason I also asked is because one thing I do from our marketing on social media on my company page, we actually tag ALE and all the other temporary housing agencies on all of our posts. And we actually go and follow them. And I noticed ALE does a lot of like community outreach projects outside of just insurance. So that's why I was wondering if maybe they kind of stepped into something else where they're paying for people who, may be coming from different situations. So, I'm glad to provide for that, but I just didn't know how it was assumed it was insurance, which I think this is insurance, but I don't know. Yeah.
That's a good point. And you mentioned it might be like, battered woman or something like that. Fleeing the husband and trying to get into it.
I started getting those vibes. Those are the vibes I was getting. I was like, but hey, the check clears. So
yeah, well, maybe there are. I would imagine there's like everybody talks about Catholic charities, or there's charities out there that'll help place someone in a home, right? But who do they call to do that? They'll probably call ALE and say, hey, this lady needs a place. Her and her kids are trying to get away from her husband, whatever it is. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Can you find a place? We'll pay for it. Maybe that's the thing. It's not insurance paying for it, but it's like a group or a charity gonna pay her rent somewhere, but they don't know where to go, so they go to a corporate housing locator, right? So yeah, that's cool, man. On that note, we're talking midterm today. So I have a midterm guest, and it's actually from Mike Brown. So he's getting a piece of the action too, so that's good. It's always help each other out, and so but paying a pretty good chunk of money to stay at one of our places in Grand Prairie, and the thing is, so her house fire. She had a house fire, so it's got all kinds of damage, right? So she's been with us for like 4 or 5 months, but she wants to extend out all the way past October, right? She's supposed to leave in August, so she wants to extend out at least till October, because she said the contractors didn't even start working until 2 months after she moved into our house. You know what I'm saying? They didn't even start on the place, and so it ain't. I know it's hot here, but it's not raining every day. There's not delays and shit. This is the time where they're supposed to be working. But anyways, whatever. So she's wanting to extend out at least 2 more months, right? And the company is kind of like pushing back, saying we didn't approve it. We haven't got approval, blah, 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 blah. She's supposed to be going on the 21st of this month. So she's like, either way, I want to stay. I know I'm paying this amount. Let's just say she's paying $4,500, right? I think that's about what she's paying for, but I know we can't afford that if we're gonna stay here, so maybe we can work out a deal with you directly if we do stay. And so my rent at this place is around $2,000, and then with utilities, let's say $2,500. So right now I'm making about $2,000 a month, whatever. But if I said, the lowest we could probably go is $3,500 a month. If you're gonna deal directly with us, and they can't give you the approval, whatever, we could do that. She's okay, yeah, we can handle that. So I've never had a situation like that where someone doesn't get extended through the insurance company, because usually they extend them pretty good, but for some reason they're being a little difficult now. But I didn't know there'd be a fallback. I can deal directly with the client. All right, y'all been good clients this whole time, you just continue paying this amount. I know it's less because the insurance ain't covering it for you, but it's still an amount that I'm cool with, because we're entering the slow season anyways. So so that's what's going on. So I'm comfortable with taking that lower rate if the insurance ain't going to pay that higher rate.
One thing I would say on that too, a little bit of skepticism, because if the insurance ain't approving it, can they afford it? And the reason why I say that is the insurance paying their mortgage right now? Because remember, if they got a mortgage, the insurance is probably paying that. And they're probably like, whoa. Your level of coverage ain't to this level. This is what I'm thinking. Your level of coverage ain't to this level, so we're not approving the extension. Go somewhere cheaper. Is that what they're saying? You should see, that's why I tell people, when you do B2B, always deal with the business and then come back to the consumer. Find out why they aren't extending it.
Okay.
Did you talk to them?
The reason that's the thing. Mike Brown's handling this. He's kind of like, he did the lease, him and them, kind of, but we're the one that has the house. You know what I'm saying? It's kind of like that. It's kind of, so he's dealing with them. And because I told Mike Brown, I said, hey, this lady called me the other day. She's saying that she wants to extend out till October. Go ahead. And I said, are they going to approve this? You know, it's already August. So, and he said he called them and they said they didn't approve anything. He said, no, we didn't approve anything. And so I was like, I called her. I was like, well, they said they didn't approve anything. Oh, well, they're supposed to, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah, get a background check on them. Like, do it like, hey, there's a new lease. And I do it like now because it's in 2 weeks. I do it like, hey, by the way, it's going to be a $55 application fee, and send everything so you can have her do an application fee where they do her background. She has to upload her ID and all that. Because, I haven't had anyone come to me directly, but I only deal with the consumer on B2B side if they're like only on like maintenance stuff. That's when I'll deal with the consumer. Now I have taken a landing client and turned them direct. But I did the background check. Like, hey, if you want to come direct, sure, but you're gonna have to do the background information and all that. They did it, filled it out. They were good to go. Paid every month. So yeah, just make sure you do it that way, and just make sure you cover your bases on that.
You ever heard the term honeypot?
Yeah. Yeah.
I heard that term for the first time because I kind of got in trouble.
What happened?
I won't tell you what exactly company I was.
Yeah, don't say the company.
Yeah, I won't say the company's name. I'll tell you what was going on. So we kind of, we've been fanning out trying to get clients from all over the place,
Yeah.
So a certain website we were kind of not communicating in the website, but communicating outside the website, trying to reach out to people. Hey, we saw your home, looks good. Maybe we can blah, blah, blah. We can manage it for you, kind of thing, short. It sounds better than that, but that's kind of the gist of it. Anyways, and I don't even think it was the honeypot effect, but the owner of the company reached out to us and say, hey, and it happened exactly after we got a nasty email from somebody saying, oh, y'all are spamming me here, blah, blah, blah. I'm going to tell this company, blah, blah, blah. And then the next day we get a phone call from the owner. What are y'all doing, man? Blah, 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 blah. We got honeypots set up everywhere. And I had to go look what a honeypot was. I was like, what's a honeypot? Look, I was like, that's the Winnie the Pooh shit. And so so this is what I learned. So certain companies, to protect themselves against, I guess, spammers or stuff like that, they'll set up honeypots. And for example, they'll set up fake properties that would be attractive to somebody that wants to spam somebody. And once they get a text or an email or a phone call to that particular fake property, which is a honeypot, then that signals, oh, this person is doing some stuff on our website, because that's not a real property anyway. So honeypot is like setting the trap, and that's why I thought you would know what it was, because it's in the computer industry, right? Yep. It's like a security measure, a honeypot. So I thought it was a cool term. I didn't know what the hell a honeypot was, but it's these traps they set for bad operators.
Yeah. So in the IT world, that's what we call a honeypot. Like we'll set up like a rogue access point. So if like a hacker or someone who's trying to penetrate our networks, we'll set up this bullshit access point that's easily hackable, and we'll let them spend time chasing down the honeypot while the real network's somewhere else. So we do that in the IT world, especially in networking. But yeah, man, damn, we got to talk about that one offline. Damn, see what's going on there. But
it's funny. But I mean, everything's cool. I'm cool with this dude. He's almost like like a friend. But so honeypots. So think about that. Honeypot your business, y'all. I don't know how you honeypot your business, but you can. How would you honeypot your business, Myka?
I don't know how to honeypot a business. I don't know. It depends on what you're doing. I'd have to know the full gist of what was going on. So yeah. Pay
for the Patreon episode and find. I'm just kidding. Johnny Rose, downtown Johnny Rose. I'm calling him that. I don't know. The guy that I mentioned the very first of the podcast, he said, man, y'all giving away so much content. Y'all got sponsors. Y'all making money off this thing. I was like, well, we make money. We've got so many, the networking is priceless for us. We made so many connections. We've done deals with people. We've gotten properties from people, it's just but we've had sponsors off and on. But we just do it for fun. We love doing this, and then in the connection, in the networking. And he's like, oh man, if you even did like like that Julie George episode. She was all going off on her charts and her materials, and she was doing, a tutorial, giving it all. I was like, if you would have just done like a general episode with her, and then done like a Patreon episode that people pay $5 for to see all this stuff in action. She goes, man, people would pay that all day. You'd be making, from one person, you'd be making $250 a month, or one people paying $5. So you and Myka could live off that, man. I was like, he goes, I know time is precious. You got kids and all that stuff. You go sit down and talk for an hour and go make money on that. I was like, oh man, Johnny Rose talking.
Is Johnny Rose black?
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
How I was talking that he was black, right? I tried to black it up a little.
Oh, Johnny Rose. They gotta be Johnny
cool.
Rose.
And as the original story, I was checking out at Walmart and buying one of those, the cornhole bag toss things, and he's, oh man, is that good? Is that one? I was like, well, it's good for little kids to play. He's like, oh, I got an Airbnb over here. I just want to get something to add some amenities and stuff. I was like, for an Airbnb, it's kind of flim. I don't think it would last very long. You know what I'm saying? So
yeah.
Stuff's done. It's a cheap one though. And he's like, and then we just started talking about Airbnb, and I told you about the conversation. I was like, you never know who you're gonna bump into and network with and do business with in the future. So that's where I met Johnny Rose, and he's a cool dude. He started off cleaning Airbnbs. Then people asked him, hey, can you manage it for me? And then he ended up managing Airbnbs for people. And then he got his own Airbnb. So I love this business because you can just grow,
For real, man. That's what's up, man. Yeah, a lot of people that started out in cleaning them, and now they're flat out having their own businesses, man. That's what's up, man.
Hustling, man.
I know, hustling, man. And I mean, if you keep at it, man, it's so much bigger payoffs. If you can survive those down seasons, pivot, it's a big payoff, man. So yeah, man, I can't wait for the future of it, man, and just keep growing. I'm trying to, I'm still focusing on the buying side, but yeah, I'm trying to own everything, man. As soon as if I can own everything, but yeah.
Here's what's funny, man. We can go on and on, but so one of the units, someone reached out to us in Dallas, has a unit like in the same spots where we have units, and we haven't really been. Nah, we're not gonna manage that for you, But I was like, you know what? My assistant Manu, is actually Federico's brother. He's killing it, man. He's sending me so much freaking people to interview and business and stuff like that. I got so many people that I have to freaking call. It's getting. I need someone to make these phone calls for me next. So, anyways, he's killing it in the game in the corporate side, and I said, you know what? I talked to this girl. She's like, wow, I haven't made any money, and I'm losing money. And it's beautiful property. They did a great job designing it. And I only made $500 last month. I was like, July? You made $500 in July in Dallas? How the hell? And she goes, well, I had someone managing it and they didn't do a good job. I was like, all right, well, let me think about it. I was like, am I going to take on one of these units by me? But then, because we've done that before and it didn't turn out good. I was like, you know what? I'm going to give this unit to Manu. I'm going to let him do it. I said, here's your unit, make it, fix it, make it better. You're studying to do this Airbnb stuff, but what better way to learn by giving him a freaking unit? Yeah. And he's going to learn hands. It's going to be his baby. He's going to obsess with this motherfucker. He's going to turn it around. He's going to make TikToks and reels and all kinds of shit. He's going to do something cool with it. I think it's like, I sort of, okay, we can manage you. But Manu's going to be your man. He's going to be managing this one full time. And she was so happy. And he's like, oh my God, thank you for this opportunity. And it brings me back to when we first started, how excited we were to get the first one and the second one, and he's so fucking excited to have this thing. Now we've had hundreds of these Airbnbs, and it kind of wears on you sometimes going through all this shit. But it's so cool to see someone that's so excited about the opportunity to turn this one around and make it his own.
Man, I'm happy. Yeah, that first one's always gets you going, man. You said something there. You said poor management companies. That is starting to be a thing too, where you can make some money. Like if you have a good management system, and that there's poor management companies out here, Evolve. You could make some good money because I just had a conversation with a friend of mine. She just told me too, she ain't had no reservation in like 3 weeks. And so I was like, just send me your listing. Let me look at it. I get on her listing, perfect pictures, nice house by the lake, by the water. And I get on there and I just start clicking around and I just start noticing Evolve don't do shit. Like I click on it. There's a cleaning fee. There's her cleaning fee is like 2 times more than everyone else's cleaning fee. And they don't put any discounts on the listing. So I'm like, what the hell are they doing? So I told her, I'm like, hey, man, your cleaning fee's way too high. So I'm like, what you should do is turn that cleaning fee into a management fee. So it's charged by the night. And after that, you need to start putting discounts on your listing to make it more attractive to families that are coming. And, she was like, okay, so I'm going to take it back to Evolve. I was like, okay, and make sure they follow up and they do it. But yeah, there are management companies that just don't know what they're doing. And they will let these people sit vacant, make $500 and then ask for 20%. Like, bro, what the hell are you doing? Or Evolve, we'll let you make 500. We'll ask for our 10% because we ain't doing shit anyway. So, and I think what happened was, okay, when Airbnb had their boom, right? Everyone, like you always say, you can put a couch on there and somebody's going to book it. Matter of fact, funny thing is, shout out to, who is it? James Fan, who he first came on, and that's how he made his money.
I thought about him the other day.
Yeah. He put a couch on Airbnb, and that's how he started and made a bunch of money. And he started buying real estate after that. But I think a lot of management companies still have that same mindset, and they're letting their customers go out of business. It's crazy, man. I'm like, why are you letting these people go out of business? That's a shitty way to do business. But yeah, man, management side, I'm loving the management side myself. I'm have a couple more management ones coming up. But yeah, bro, it's getting crazy out here with these bad management companies.
I told you, I sent to our little group text that we do, group WhatsApp group.
Yeah.
That about the management versus arbitraging. And I said one big advantage, and I was doing all the numbers to pay that Texas franchise tax. I don't know if all the states have some, probably they all have something similar, right? But Texas has a franchise tax. If you gross, not net, if you gross over 1.2 something million dollars in a year, then you got to pay a Texas franchise tax on the money. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so now people say, oh, that's a million, over $1 million. That's a lot. No, actually, if you have a few, like these gurus out here saying they make $100,000 a month on these properties, whatever.
Yeah.
You're going to get to $1 million gross pretty freaking easy, because they're not counting that you have to pay a mortgage on this thing, or they're not counting that you're arbitraging this thing for $5,000 a month and you're making, $7,000 or $8,000. It's good money. They're counting that you're making $10,000, everything gross, even the money that goes to the cleaners, that's considered gross, right? Every cent that comes into your business, whether you have expenses or not, that counts towards that 1.2 whatever million. And you can get there pretty quickly if you start scaling and arbitrages. Now, management, the only thing that counts in management is that management fee. So you're making that 15 or 20% or whatever, 25%, whatever, off the gross income from the Airbnb or whatever it's coming from. You're not making, the owner is responsible for all the money that's going for that house. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
So we're only responsible. So you're not gonna. So that's actually more true income than gross on everything that comes in for a house, right? So you're not going to get to that 1.27. I mean, hopefully you do. That's good. That means you're successful. But doing management, but you're not going to be paying a shitload of taxes like the actual homeowners do.
Well, remember, the homeowners can deduct. You're talking
no. I'm just talking about the franchise tax. Yeah, they can deduct, and this is a whole different tax altogether.
Yeah,
franchise tax.
Yeah, the arbitrager has to pay. They on the hook for that. There ain't nothing to deduct. Yeah, we were talking about that. I was like, yeah, man, there ain't nothing to write off. I mean, you can write off, your rent and all that. But yeah, man, and I think we've talked about it before. But for tax purposes, like management and owning is just a better play. You know what I mean? You're just taking a piece of the pie.
And it's funny too, like any city that's taking a Airbnb tax or short-term rental tax, they take it from gross too. They don't give a shit that $200, $300 going to the cleaner. They want a piece of that shit too. They want a piece of everything coming in. So these cities are getting slick, man. The government's been slick for a while, right? Yeah. They want a piece of the gross. They don't give a shit about the net, Yeah. And when you do your taxes at the end of the year, yes, you can do write-offs and stuff like that. But cities, in the state of Texas, franchise tax, they want that piece of the gross money.
Yeah. And you just got to be, and also that goes back into being savvy in business structure. You got to have a savvy way to do business, man. Because after you and Fetty told me about, make sure you're not taking payments, you just sending invoices. That's the biggest thing right there. That's the biggest thing. I think, and y'all might have to help me out. I think Airbnb kind of changed up how they do the co-host payouts. I don't think they do payouts to co-hosts anymore, right?
It's a good question because we don't, like I said, we don't do the payouts through there. We just invoice. We don't.
No. I'm saying like they don't take a chunk and send you your chunk. They just send it all to the owner now or something.
Right. I don't even know if that's an option anymore.
Yeah.
It used to be an option. But yeah, it got into that blurry laws of you have to be a real estate agent or a broker to manage someone's property. So we'll just invoice them for hospitality.
That's what I do. Accommodation management. That's what I invoice them for. Accommodation management. Here's the invoice. We get paid out. So yeah, man, I've been loving it. I've been loving that. And then, I got 2 under management right now, 2 houses, and I got 3 more coming. 2 of them are going to be new builds. And yeah, man, I'm loving that management side. You just manage it, get your payout and go. Yeah, man.
And see, try something different, right?
Yeah.
You were anti-management for a long time, and then you said, okay, I'm gonna try it with this one that giant house that you took over there in Arkansas, right? And then it led you to the next one and the next one, and it's oh man, always try something different, man.
Yeah,
I think it stimulates your brain. It gets you motivated again. Always try something different. I think that's how you should live life.
And try something different because I know right now I keep saying I'm getting away from arbitrage. Like right when I was going to get away from arbitrage, Dallas brought the band down, and I'm like, well, damn. If I hold these arbitrages in these apartment complexes just a little bit longer, I might be sitting fat, So I do eventually want to get out of arbitrage and just focus on managing and buying because I love that strategy, man. That's great strategy, especially if you buy right, increase profits. If you manage right, increase profits, and most of it's going to be profit. You know what I'm saying? So that's what I'm loving about it.
We got so much more to talk about. We're running out of time. We've been out for like an hour and a half, but I love this fucking podcast, dude. I want to keep going forever.
Hell yeah!
It's so fun to talk about this stuff, and it's cool that people actually listen and they like what we're saying, and they like to they say they get inspired buzz. That's like the biggest compliment, that we're inspiring people, and not to toot our own horn, but just to get a phone call like that out of the blue. Not that everybody has my number, but or an email or a message or something like that. It's really cool, man. It's really, really humbling, as the athletes say. But we love it, man. And I love this podcast. And we keep living, letting, and thriving.
Hell yeah! And we got to give a shout out to Steve. He's been holding it down for the last month or so, man. I've been ripping and running across the country, so Steve's been holding it down. So, man, thank you for doing that. But yeah, I'm back. Hopefully, I'll be, we can get back to our routine and getting these things cranked out, man. Started 6 years ago. Let's keep on going. Make another 6.
Yeah, to Johnny Rose, that was funny as hell. Is Myka black? Because he keeps it real as fuck.
Oh, shit.
Thanks for listening to Johnny Rose. Thanks for listening, all you viewers. Shout out to Jerome in the house.
Robbie Rome.
He'll send us text messages from time to time. I'm glad you're killing it over there. And yeah, man. Keep living, letting, thriving, y'all. Where can people find us, Myka?
Hey, you can find us on Instagram at Live Let Thrive. Send us an email, liveletthrive@gmail.com. Follow us both. By the way, you're going to see us a lot more on Instagram now because they got the new collab. So all 3 of us can be collabed at one time. So that's dope. So yeah, follow us there. Follow us on TikTok. And yeah, man, if you have any questions, send us an email. And yeah, hit us up. And we are out.
Peace.
Later. We might call this episode Johnny Rose.
Johnny Rose.
All right. Peace.
Thank you for tuning in to this week's episode of Live, Let, Thrive. Be sure to tune in next week for all the latest in the world of Airbnb and all that entails. Bye-bye.